There's several, but I think the three for us that really drill home when we're talking to people, firstly would be that China is Asia. Obviously, China's going to have the biggest impact on us as investors, given the structure of our economy. The BHPs, the Rios of the world, the mining sector, dominated by what's happening out of China. So when we pick up the paper, it tends to typically be stories about China. But our mandate allows us to invest in 13 or 14 markets across the entire region. And those economies are vastly different to one another. You've got commodity-driven markets, Indonesia, Malaysia, which will be more closely aligned to what's happening in China. But you've got tech-centric markets like Taiwan and Korea. And then you've got those markets in Southeast Asia, which are actually being driven by their own unique economic growth stories. The Philippines, Vietnam, India. So to say that one and all is the same is a common misconception that most people have. Secondly is the transparency issue. Transparency from a management standpoint and transparency from a accounting framework. And both of those things we think are overplayed. You've got to remember the region is over 20,000 listed companies. We're essentially looking for 20. So we're looking for 20 really solid management teams that we can invest along with for a 5 to 10 year period. So we believe that you can find that. And there's a very strong entrepreneurial spirit that resonates across Asia. The Chinese are extremely entrepreneurial. So that's one thing. And the accounting standard is another issue. Most people sit back and say, do you have problems sifting through the accounts? Do the accounts have the details that are required? Well, most of the markets in Asia are under the same accounting standards that we have in here in Australia. So that's another misconception. It's interesting, if you look at what's happened probably over the last 5 years, you've had more and more Chinese companies coming to list in the Australian market because it's easier to list here than it is to list in Hong Kong or Singapore. So that's another problem that that we face.